While we may have done 90% of the work on this van ourselves, and we're about 90% done, we're not professionals. So please consult a professional with all your questions, and remember to wear the proper safety gear, including the Crocs. All right, so I spent the day yesterday doing the floor, and I got a little sunburn to the back of my neck, so I had to now go with the hat, keeping it classy. Today we're going to tackle installing the roof rack, and then subsequently putting the solar panel on, because right now the solar panel is sitting in the back of my truck, and I kind of don't want to drive around town with that thing back there, so I want to get it up on the roof at least. We opted to go with a rack from Flatline Van Co. I'll show you. There we go. And what I like about their racks is, one, they're a little more reasonably priced compared to some of the other companies out there. And we're doing the low pro rack, which mainly just consists of using 10 series 80/20 crossbars with their their machine side rails. What I like about that is, with our 2 max fans on the roof and with the solar panel, we kind of need some flexibility on where everything lines out. Some of the more safari style racks that have the kind of mesh grate to the bottom, you know, we'd end up doing something custom or just be cutting into a brand new rack to work around our max fans. So we unboxed everything, got it laid on the table here. Essentially you would get 4, I think these are, I don't know, 6 feet maybe, pieces. You have, I think they give you 7 lengths of this 10 series extruded aluminum. And they essentially pre-tap the ends here, these 2 holes. That's how it'll attach onto the crossbars, either in the slats to give you maximum adjustability or in kind of their set points. Then these landing pads, what's cool is they design it to go in, the Ford Transits at least, I don't know about other brands, have factory installed essentially bolt holes, nuts in the roof. So you peel off the little gaskets they have covering it, and these fit right on those plates, bolt right into factory holes, which is really cool. And then the bottom of the crossbars will bolt into here. And so really straightforward install from what I saw so far. So we're gonna start getting going on this, and hopefully we don't hit any snags. The top of the van's pretty dirty, so I'm gonna clean out before we start getting too far along. But essentially, let me see if I can show you. Sorry, these are the factory kind of mounts. There's 5 per side. See the other 3 down there. So we have 10, 5 for each side of those landing pads, which will go here, and then the rail will mount there. So we're gonna, these little caps are what got to come off, and then we'll double check. Sometimes I've heard that the drilled hole in the roof doesn't always line up with the factory mounted bolt inside. They can be off. So we'll pull them all, check them all, clean this surface real well, and then start installing the landing pads. All right, so we got all those little plugs peeled off, cleaned up. But the Ford Transits are kind of notorious for the hole in the sheet metal of the roof not being perfectly centered over the factory mounted, you know, nut that's inside. So I'm going to show you an example. I'm going to try to put this right over it so you can see. So you can kind of see where the, don't know if you can tell where the bolt hole is a little off compared to the roof. So it's common practice. We got to kind of, I don't know, take a drill bit or something to the edge of this and just kind of oblong the hole a little bigger so the bolt goes in there without an issue. And there was 1 on the passenger side, but I think the driver's side had about 3 of them. So I'll work on that here in a moment. All right, so on the roof, now we're gonna bolt on the brackets. You see, I already got all of the ones down the passenger side and the 3 on the driver's side. Kirsten's getting ready to do those 2 now. Oh, here she comes. One thing I am doing is I am putting just a little bit of blue Loctite on the threads on these bolts. These bolts don't really have anything, you know, it's not a nylon nut or a lock wash or anything that will help keep them, so I wanted to just put a little blue Loctite on there. And when you tighten them down, it's a little weird. I'll grab one here, because you keep going and you feel like you're going to get too tight, but you end up kind of flattening out the rubber gasketed washer as you tighten it, right? I guess that's just going to happen. But as you're doing that, you're like, oh my goodness, am I going too tight? So just take it easy on them. Once I get the whole rack up, I'll come back and just give them all a little snug. We're not going to overdo it on these. So I'm going to do the last one on the passenger side now. Now, one little thing we didn't show you, maybe Kirsten can show it to you real quick. On the bottom of those landing pads, they have a little rubber piece. I'd seen older videos of people doing the install where look at those rubber pieces were separate. So now they're kind of pre-adfixed, pre-adhered. Well done.
But at least for the low profile, high roof extended, it's on there.
True. So we're still gonna add a bead of some sealant around the perimeter, and I'm probably just gonna cover the bolt head in it too, just to make sure no water gets in there. But one thing you'll see I did here, I used this natural seam as kind of my guide to try to keep them kind of parallel and square the whole way down. Luckily, as you see, the bolt hole on top is elongated for where the rack component actually bolts to, so it's, you know, it has plenty of play to get it nice and straight, but I still want to at least make sure my brackets sat well. So I'm getting ready to take up the rest of the rack bars up there and start installing them. Like I said, each side of the van consists of 2 pieces, and then they make these, well, they're still bagged up. There's big square plates that you basically use. There's 4 bolt holes in it, and that's what you use to bolt the 2 pieces together. All right, so this nice guy here. But they say to put this on last once you get the bars, the crossbars up there lined out and it feels good, then you tighten everything down and put those on. One nice thing is, one thing to note on these, the bar that has the 2 lower slotted holes, these 2 lower ones, that one goes on driver's side, because those 2 slotted holes are where, if you were utilizing the Flatline Vanco's ladder, that attaches to that on the driver's side. But one other element that helps you, I just noticed, is they have basically whatever CNC or laser cut in the bottom, if you can see it. I don't know if you can, it says HR extended, high roof extended, PF, passenger front. Then there's a PR, passenger rear, and then there's a DF and a DR. So it kind of makes it dummy proof of which piece goes where. I thought that was really nice of them. So we're gonna start putting those up, and then once those up and feel good, I'll start slowly putting on the 80/20 crossbars. We're gonna mount a 400 watt Solaria Power XT panel in between my 2 max fans, kind of lengthwise. And I'm gonna use have some 10 series 80/20 angle brackets that I'm gonna use to bolt the panel down. So the exact location of those crossbars is gonna be TBD at the moment. I'll figure that out once I really get up there and measure out the panel. So we'll start on this right now. What's nice about how these install is both the landing bracket and the rail have a slot in them, so it gives you a lot of ability to try to get it to, you know, look streamlined and parallel down the side of the van and be exactly what you want. However, on this one, you see I dropped it in from the top and then had to try to, you know, hold the nut from underneath, and there's only so much room for chubby fingers. So on the other ones, I think we're actually going to poke it up from below and just do the nut and washer from the top side. see the 4 bolt heads real clean. On the inside, equally clean. And really does secure them well. Okay, so we got the rails up on each side. Now I'm gonna start doing the crossbars. Quick tip, while working on the roof rack, be sure to put the crossbars in a location out of the sun, because they are scalding hot now. But we got Kirsten on the other side. Got the plastic wrap on it because it helped with the heat barely. This is gonna be the farthest back, is that a word, farthest? The crossbar that as far back as it can go because of our fan. So we're gonna install this one to help kind of square the rails. Then I'll probably jump to one farther up. Then I'll worry about the rails in between is my plan. I'm gonna throw a little bit of blue Loctite on these 1/4-20s. Again, just to help anything from rattling out. So I got the frontmost and rearmost crossbars installed, kind of squared up all the side rails, and then went through and tightened everything down. I'm still going to give the platform bolts an extra little squeeze when I go up there, because I'm going to add some silicone and some caulking around the edge of that just to, you know, avoid any water leakage. But now we're going to install the front fairings. We opted for the front fairing from Flatline, and they recommend it in their install guide, and I saw it on another video about installing basically the bottom side of the T-nut in the extrusion and barely attaching the 1/4-20 bolt to it. Then you can slide in the fairing on that section, rather than, so you like slide the fairing down on it, snug it all up, and then attach the extrusion and fairing as one piece onto the rack. Otherwise, it's kind of impossible to try to line up those T-nuts as they keep sliding to put a bolt in. So, got the extrusion, the fairing, and if I understand the orientation right, the fairing, these holes, flange here, attached to the side profile of the extrusion. And because there's 3 bolt holes up on the rack for that area to bolt to. So we're going to do that now and try it out. Okay, so we installed the little 1/4-20 bolt with the T-nut on it all the way down. That's hard to see. Then we're going to basically slide the extrusion onto it. It's supposed to be a lot easier than sliding the T-nuts in here first and then trying to line them all up as they move around on you. So I'm going to give that a go. So it slid on super easy. Now we'll snug them up. I guess we need to keep the edge profile and this flat with each other. And there's a separate set of screws with lock washers, because these holes on the end are threaded actually. So they'll just thread into it with a lock washer based off the 3 holes up in the corner of the rack. One little goof ran into with this fairing. It's on me, my fault. It ships with little tiny silver bolts that have lock washers with them. And then it ships with some slightly longer black bolts. I assumed the black ones, for whatever reason, were the ones to be used to attach the fairing, the fairing to the 80-20. It's the other way around. If I'd have counted the bolts, I'd have realized that. It's 6 of one, 5 of the other. So we were just up on top of the van trying to install it. I'm like, why are these little silver bolts way too short? And that's why, because they don't go there. So we'll fix it now. All right, I'm going to show you the top of the rack now. We got all the crossbars installed. I spaced out the majority of the middle crossbars to match the length and size of our solar panel. So then I can gauge, because I'm going to have to drill into the side of my solar panel frame to do my brackets. The solar panel has brackets on the factory holes in the bottom. They just won't work for what I'm trying to do. So I got these up here. I'll show it to you now, and then I'll work on the solar panel. So you can see our backmost bracket, there's still some side rail length that goes past the backmost, just simply I can't clear my max fan. Otherwise we have essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going across until the next fan. Past that fan, there's one more, and then an additional one where the fairing attaches. So our panel, to mount the solar panel to the 80/20 extrusion, which comes with the Flatline Vanco rack, I'm going to use some 80/20 brackets. The crossbars are 10 series, so I'm going to use one of the gusseted angle brackets here. I laid out my crossbars so the frontmost one edge would be flush with the front end of the panel, backmost is flush with the back end of the panel. I got 2 more in the middle of the panel. However, I only bought 6 of these total, 3 for each side. I could use 4 in theory, but I'm going to mount it with 3 for the time being, which I still think is going to be plenty. And essentially, here's our panel. It's a little dusty at the moment. When the shade, sorry for the light. Like I said, it's a 400 watt. It's a Power X T400 from Solaria. What's really nice about these is the way the panel is laid out. It has some of the best, what's the word I want to use? Shade performance there is, right? It's a lot of panels, you shade a small portion, it can kill a whole section. The way this one's wired, it performs really good in the shade. So it's a big reason why we got it. So I'm going to work on drilling the side of the frame of the panel. Try to get better light here, it's not really working. But essentially, these will mount like that. So we're going to do 3 on each side. So I need to drill through this double wall of aluminum. She agrees.
I'm so tired.
Okay. All right. Gotta get a bigger drill bit instead of this. This is double wall, has a hollow void, 2 aluminum walls like a channel. So I need to get us a bigger bit to punch through the other side. Make sure it's flush on the bottom, and that'll be 1 of 6 total.
6.
3 on each side. Up on the ladder, hopefully for the last time. We were able to get the panel up here as you saw. Now we're working on mounting it. I'm going to show you kind of what we're doing here. Kirsten's working on it. You see, there's the angle brackets we used. That one is mounted in like that bar is in the fixed position. So is this one, excuse the ladder, so is this one here. The frontmost one we mounted in the slot just to give ourselves some grace room. So we'll slide this up to kind of line up with these front brackets, hopefully perfectly. Snug them all down, and that bad boy's mounted. All right, so I'm gonna just go through everything and just snug it up extra tight, make sure every nut and bolt's good to go. Should be, but I don't want nothing coming loose. You know, there really wasn't too many hiccups, I don't think. The rack is well built, it's easily designed, like it's pretty self-explanatory how it goes together. The only complaint I'd have is the little 1/4-20 bolts that they use. The Allen heads of them are a little soft, so it's real quick. I mean, they get snug and you go a little much, and then next thing you know, you might bind up that Allen bit because it starts to strip the head. So I had one that stripped all the way out. That was kind of an issue. I mean, that's user error, but that'd be the only thing. Otherwise, it really is nice. It's solid. But anyways, if you guys have any questions on how this went together, want some clarification, leave us a comment below. I'll do my best to answer them. And then, like always, please subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll be back for more on this fan. It ain't done yet.
Can I do the lock thing?
Yes.
The blue lock? Is it blue lock?
Blue Loctite.
Blue Loctite.
Say it with me.
May I please have the blue
Blue Loctite.